Your prefrontal cortex doesn't command your muscles. It only negotiates with your brainstem's ancient survival circuits. Real control isn't about tightening your grip. It's about loosening the tension. Epictetus named it the paradox of the untied knot. You pull, the fibers tighten. You panic. You pull again. The knot becomes a stone. We will return to this image in a moment, because it holds the quiet truth you have been searching for. The mind wants a lever. It wants a switch you can flip to command the world, to command your own thoughts, to command the heavy reactions that rise in your chest when the phone rings, when the message arrives, when the silence feels heavy. But the lever does not exist. Not in the way you imagine it. We spend our days trying to force stillness. We schedule meditation apps. We drink bitter teas. We read lists of habits. We treat peace like a muscle to be trained through repetition and strain. Yet the harder we try to force the mind into quiet, the louder the noise becomes. This is not a failure of discipline. It is a misunderstanding of mechanics. Water does not push the rock aside. It flows around it. It carves the canyon through patience, not force. The ancients understood this long before we built machines to measure our focus. They knew that surrender is not defeat. It is alignment. Today, we will examine the architecture of letting go, not as a passive retreat, but as an active discipline, a precise art of untangling. 2,000 years ago, a man named Epictetus walked the dusty streets of Nicopolis. He was born a slave. He carried a permanent limp from a broken leg. He owned almost nothing. Yet he taught a room full of senators and merchants how to stop strangling their own peace. He watched them argue with reality. He watched them demand that the weather change, that their rivals disappear, that their children obey, that their fortunes hold. He called it a sickness of the will, a habit of gripping what is already slipping through the fingers. Consider the Roman official who spends his days drafting edicts. He believes order comes from ink and parchment. He signs decrees to control grain shipments, to control border patrols, to control the moods of the crowd. When the harvest fails, he blames himself. When the crowd grows restless, he tightens his grip. He drafts more laws. He hires more guards. The knot grows tighter. Epictetus watched men like this burn themselves out. He wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. But he did not mean that reality is gentle. He meant that the mind creates a second layer of pain. The first layer is the event itself. The rain falls. The contract expires. The friend leaves. The second layer is the refusal to accept it. The mental pulling. The internal command that says this should not be. That second layer is where the knot lives. It is not tied by fate. It is tied by resistance. Seneca faced the same truth when he advised Nero. He knew power was an illusion when measured against time and mortality. He wrote letters to friends who were drowning in anxiety. He told them to step back from the ledge of their own urgency, to look at the horizon, to let the breath return. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled the known world, woke each morning and reminded himself that he could not control the thoughts of others, that he could not stop betrayal, that he could only govern his own response. He did not conquer his anxiety by fighting it. He conquered it by observing it, by letting it pass through the architecture of his mind without bracing against it. The paradox is simple. The more you demand control over the uncontrollable, the less control you actually possess. The less you demand it, the steadier your hands become. We will come back to this in a moment. But first, we must see how this ancient friction lives in your hands today. You wake before dawn. The screen lights your face. Notifications stack like unread letters. Each one demands a piece of your attention. Each one asks for a reaction. You feel the familiar pull in your chest. The need to answer, to fix, to optimize, to prove. The modern world is built on frictionless control. We track our sleep. We monitor our heart rates. We schedule our deep work. We believe that if we measure enough data, we will finally master ourselves. But the data does not quiet the mind. It feeds it. It gives the nervous system more targets to grip, more variables to manage, more reasons to pull. Think of the meeting where you feel your voice tightening, the colleague who interrupts, the project that shifts without warning. The instinct is to argue, to push back, to tighten the jaw and speak faster. You believe force will restore order, but the knot only deepens. The room grows colder. The connection frays. Now think of the relationship where silence becomes a wall. You want to pull them closer. You draft the perfect message. You rehearse the conversation. You demand clarity. You demand certainty. But love does not yield to interrogation. It yields to space, to the quiet confidence of standing near without demanding entry. Social media operates on the same principle of friction. The algorithm feeds you outrage. You feel the heat in your throat. You type the response. You send it. You wait for the reply. The knot becomes a chain. You check again. The silence feels like rejection. You pull harder. The mind spirals. This is not weakness. This is biology. The nervous system evolved to solve immediate threats, to run, to fight, to secure resources. It was not designed to navigate a world of abstract deadlines, digital reputations, and endless choices. When the mind meets uncertainty, it reaches for the familiar tool, force. But force is the wrong tool for this work. The modern environment rewards speed. It rewards visibility. It rewards the appearance of certainty. Yet the deepest peace requires the opposite. It requires the courage to let the thread slacken, to step away from the board, to allow the dust to settle before you read the room again. Which of these resonates more right now? The tightening in your work, the silence in your home, or the noise in your pocket? Keep that answer in mind. It will guide the practice we are about to build. Let us move from observation to architecture. We will build a framework you can use this week. It is not a hack. It is a recalibration, a return to the ancient rhythm. The first step is recognition. When you feel the pull, do not act. Name it. Whisper it if you must. I am pulling. Say it to yourself. I am trying to force the rope to loosen. This simple act creates a gap, a half-inch of space between the impulse and the action. In that space, the knot begins to breathe. The second step is the downward gaze. Look at your hands. Notice the tension in your shoulders. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. You are not a mind trapped in a machine. You are a body anchored to the earth. Gravity does not pull harder to make you fall. It simply holds you. Let gravity do its work. Drop the weight. Let the jaw unclench. Let the breath move lower. The third step is the deliberate pause. Before you reply to the message, before you send the email, before you speak in the argument, count to 3. Not in your head, in your chest. 1, 2, 3. Feel the air enter. Feel it leave. In that pause, the knot stops tightening. It does not vanish, but it stops growing. And that is enough. The fourth step is the release of the secondary layer. Remember the first layer of pain? The event itself. And the second layer? The refusal to accept it. You cannot always control the first, but you can always dissolve the second. Ask yourself, what am I fighting that is already true? The deadline exists. The silence exists. The mistake exists. Fighting it only burns energy. Accepting it frees the hands. The fifth step is the return to observation. Watch your thoughts like weather. Clouds move. They do not ask for permission. They do not apologize. They simply pass. You do not need to clear the sky. You only need to stand in the open air. This is the core actionable insight. You do not untie the knot by pulling the ends. You untie it by loosening the tension. In the middle, by stepping back, by letting the rope go slack, by trusting that gravity and patience will do what force cannot. Practice this for 3 days. When the mind demands control, offer observation instead. When the chest tightens, drop the shoulders instead. When the silence feels heavy, sit with it instead of filling it. The knot will loosen on its own. It always does. If any of these ideas resonated, I've linked the books in the description. We mistake stillness for emptiness. We think letting go means giving up. It does not. Letting go is the highest form of engagement. It means meeting reality exactly as it is. Not as you wish it to be. Not as you fear it might become. But as it stands. Solid. Present. Unchanging until it changes on its own. The common mistake is to treat this as a single event. To wait for a breakthrough. To expect a sudden moment of clarity where the mind finally stops. It will not happen that way. The practice is slow. It is quiet. It is measured in millimeters. You will forget. You will pull again. You will tighten the knot. Forgive yourself. Begin again. The rope remembers every pull. It also remembers every release. The world will keep asking for your urgency. The screens will keep demanding your attention. The noise will keep rising. You do not need to shout over it. You only need to stand beneath it. Let the sound wash past you like water over stone. Let the pressure settle. Let the breath return. You are not here to control the storm. You are here to learn how to walk in the rain without bracing against it. To let the drops fall. To feel the ground beneath your steps. To trust that your path is already clear, even when the fog rolls in. Epictetus left us this quiet truth because he knew we would forget it. We will always reach for the lever. We will always try to pull the rope. But the lever is an illusion. The rope is already loose. You are the one holding it tight. Breathe. Look at your hands. Feel the weight of the floor. Let it go. The knot was never tied by fate. It was tied by fear. and fear dissolves the moment you stop fighting it. Stand still. Watch the dust settle. The quiet path is yours.